Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Friday the 2nd of July 2021 and we're looking at an article entitled, "What Does It Take to Truly Feel Wealthy?" And we comment upon it. So let's take a look. Friday afternoon at 13:51, and earlier today we published our Friday morning update, and we've put a link below in case you haven't had an opportunity to look at it. However, we thought we would just briefly talk about an article that appeared a week or so ago on Bloomberg entitled, "What Does It Take to Truly Feel Wealthy?" As it's a Friday and we're all sort of closing down for the week so that we can have a relaxing weekend, we thought it might be a subject just worth looking at and for us to comment on, especially bearing in mind that I have personally advised multi-millionaires. And we'll just compare my experience with what this article says. Even millionaires do not believe they're wealthy. Here's some advice for avoiding the trap of never feeling satisfied with what you have. I moved to New York City a decade ago, at the tender age of 22. That makes the writer 32. I worked 3 jobs that first year to make ends meet and didn't earn more than $25,000. I remember thinking if I could make $80,000, I could really enjoy living in this city. By 2016, I was earning $80,000 and already fixated on getting to $150,000. Because then I told myself I could really indulge in the finer things New York had to offer. Yeah, we can agree with that. This mindset of reaching toward ever higher financial goals stays with us over the course of our lives. It's helpful when it comes to paying off debt and building a strong financial foundation, but it also raises the question, how much money is enough to truly feel wealthy? People's views on wealth have changed during the pandemic, according to a Charles Schwab Corp Modern Wealth Survey. In 2020, respondents said $2.6 million was needed to be wealthy, while $1.7 million was needed for financial happiness and $934,000 to be financially comfortable. In 2021, respondents said $1.9 million was needed to be wealthy, 1.1 for happiness, and $624,000 to be comfortable. To be in the top 1% in the United States, you need to have a pre-tax income of about $500,000, according to a Bloomberg analysis from 2020. But this varies by region. Even joining the double comma club, or double comma club, doesn't do it for most. Not necessarily a comma, a comma. A 2019 survey by Ameriprise found only 13% of people with $1 million or more believe themselves to be wealthy. We can say in the UK it used to be £1 million. £1 million was always the goal. Now today, someone owning a reasonable size house in the southeast of England is worth more than £1 million because of property prices. The point is, what it takes to feel wealthy is a moving target. Although it's wise to think about how to grow your personal wealth, you can spare yourself a lot of anxiety by also focusing on how to find contentment. That's the only way to get off the hedonic treadmill of never feeling satisfied with what you have because someone else always has more. In the United States, the living wage in 2019 was $16.54 an hour, or $68,808 per year, for a family of 4, 2 working adults and 2 children, according to the MIT living wage data. In expensive metropolitan areas like New York and San Francisco, and in the UK, London, the living wage figure rose to $93,851 and $94,741. There is a huge difference between earning enough to live and having your desired lifestyle. To start thinking about feeling wealthy, determine a specific baseline income needed for you to live the life you want, within reason of what's possible. This will evolve over time as your life changes. Marriages, kids, retirement, and inflation are all major factors. But ultimately, setting a baseline should be about quietening the noise of external voices telling you what you should value. Instead, focus on what truly brings you satisfaction and happiness, and then you can reassess that number every few years. The pandemic should have given us a chance to reflect on what we value most. Now, what we can say is, if you're a 25-year-old, single, living with parents, and earning $40,000 a year, you are likely to be far better off net than someone aged 35 with 2 kids living in their own house earning $70,000. Why? Because their expenses will be that much greater. A lot really does depend as well on how you spend your money, not just how much you actually earn. And of course, people know it's cheaper, for example, to live in Scotland in the UK than it is in London, and equally in a number of states in America, as opposed to perhaps New York or Washington. Deal with the comparison trap. Any time I hit a significant milestone in my salary or net worth, the dopamine hit would quickly diminish after seeing other people's income and net worth posts on social media and personal finance blogs. The comparison trap is a death knell for feeling wealthy. The problem is we're constantly inundated with carefully curated ads trying to sell us goods and lifestyles. Depending on social media consumption and geographic location, you can be surrounded hourly by images of people who have more than you. Even knowing some of these shows of wealth are works of fiction funded by debt seems to do very little to squash the voice whispering, "You don't have enough. They have more than you. You failed." Identify a scarcity mentality. One reason you may struggle to feel wealthy is because you don't trust it's a lasting situation. Scarcity mentalities present in various forms, but a dominant one in the financial realm is a persistent underlying fear that everything will be taken away one day, despite evidence to the contrary. There are myriad reasons for this mentality to take root, from how money was seen and dealt with in our childhoods to whether we entered adulthood during a financial crisis. The suspicion that financial security, let alone wealth, doesn't last can be a big part of what keeps us fixated on accumulating more and more. Gold and silver stackers beware. And what starts out as a form of protection can turn into obsession. How many of us here have 10,000 ounces of silver? Is that an obsession? You need a darn big vault or room to put it in. While you might need some good old-fashioned financial therapy to truly get a handle on your scarcity mentality, one actionable step is to make sure you're properly insured and prepared for any financial fallouts. That's going to vary for each individual, but you can start by making sure you're covered with health, life, disability, and even homeowners insurance policies. Keeping an emergency fund should also bring you some peace of mind. And of course, it's logical. You may be rising up the income ladder, but if all of a sudden you have ill health, you need to have some protection provided by your employer or by an insurance company to help compensate you. Because, to be frank, until you start to reach our sort of age, you do tend to spend broadly what you earn, constantly increasing your standard of living. Doesn't apply to everyone, and people known to save, which hopefully most of our viewers and listeners are that type of people. But nevertheless, there is a tendency, certainly in the earlier years, to live up to what you earn. Saving is good, in precious metals is sensible, and having protection is security. Thank you so much for listening. Please, by all means, share your thoughts on the article and whether you agree or disagree with the author or with us. Kindly give us a mention by sharing the video if you can, but most certainly if you haven't done so, do subscribe to the channel and press the bell sign so you're notified of our videos as and when they're published. And a quick shout out to our Crypto Plus channel, which is replacing the Richard and Greg channel. We've put a link to that in the description box below. And anyone interested in cryptocurrencies, finance, smart contracts, or the future of finance and digital assets, then please go and subscribe to that channel, as very shortly we will be beginning new videos for it including following a young lady called Nikki, who has just recently, in the past couple of weeks, started to invest in cryptocurrencies, and we thought we would follow her progress on the channel as well. Thank you once again. Until tomorrow, when we'll be producing our gold and silver weekly update. Disclaimer. Illuminati silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners.